Well, welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining with us today.
Yes, we enjoy having you as always.
Yes, Brandon, how are you doing?
Mom, I'm doing well at the start of this week. How are you doing?
I am doing fine, Brandon. I am ready for the warm weather because it was chilly all weekend. But we're ready to get ready to talk about another exciting week of General Hospital. We're talking about the week of April 27th through May the 1st. The day of taping is actually on May the 4th. All right, Brandon, are you ready?
Yes, Mom, I'm ready. May the 4th be with you.
Yes, may the fourth be with you also. Alrighty, so we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that happened. First of all, let's talk a little bit about Brooklyn. Brooklyn is feeling guilty about the accident. How long, Brandon, do you think Brooklyn is going to last?
She will probably tell one major lie and then come clean because I feel now the coming clean, I say next, might be a few weeks or months from now, but I think it's so sooner than we think. But I think she will come clean. It's just a matter of what is the big lie she's going to tell right beforehand. And I'm sure it's going to be to someone important. Maybe it's Chase, maybe it's not. Potentially, I don't know, to Curtis. I don't know.
Do you think that Brooklyn is will be someone will cover for her?
I think someone will cover for her. And I mean, I think all directions, of course, do point to her being the person. But what I think is interesting, Curtis is focusing a lot on Dr. Gannon, Isaiah being the person. But we haven't said a word about Charlotte or Danny's driving.
Yeah, well, Carly's taking care of that. So, I noticed that they haven't said a word about either of them, and we're not even quite sure which one of them was driving because we've heard two different stories. We've heard Charlotte was driving, we've heard Danny was driving. Um, but yes, so I wonder if that's the decoy by focusing on Brooklyn, and really they were the ones who caused the accident. Um, but yes, you could tell that Brooklyn's feeling really guilty. You could tell that she's ready to come clean. Tracy is the one who's telling her not to. And so she is going to break at some point. All right. And then we have Jocelyn. Oh, Brandon, Jocelyn is going to get into trouble. Um, so we saw that last week that she is asking a lot of questions about Anna and Faison. She actually tries to get information from Nathan just by having some sort of an innocent conversation with him. And then later this week, Britt tells Nathan that Jocelyn is actually in the WSB. Nathan does not like hearing this. And then at the end of the week, he visits Jocelyn, and by Friday, he has grabbed her on the arm. Brand, I was surprised that they've gone this quickly with Jocelyn and with Nathan. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely am surprised that we sort of got here, and now we don't know, and I should say for Nathan in quotes, Cassius,
Mm-hmm.
that we don't really know where his allegiances really fall, other than that he, yeah, as I say in detectives, he's up to no good. But no, we just know that he may or may not have affiliation with Sidwell and Cullum, but we don't know to what extent, other than that he is not, as I say, goody two shoes Nathan. That being said, I I don't think, I mean, at least in my opinion, I don't think he's really there to hurt Jocelyn, but maybe just to sort of move her out of the way.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what is going on with fake Nathan. You could tell he does have an allegiance toward Britt, which of course is his sister. But at the same time, um, for him to go after Jocelyn like that, it does kind of make you wonder. And but you're right, we're not quite sure where he stands. And then at the same time, I'm not even quite sure where Liesel stands. Liesel has had conversations with fake Nathan, and she has indicated, of course, that Nathan is her son, but she is looking at him a little funny now. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, and they're just looks. But it'll be interesting to see later if Liesel actually knew that Nathan was really Cassius. And then we've got Britt, who's just kind of torn and in the middle. And it kind of makes you wonder, what is Britt going to do when she finds out that Nathan and and Jocelyn actually had a conversation. So that'll be interesting to watch. All right, Brandon, let's talk about Carly and Valentine. They are fighting their attraction together. And Jocelyn actually has had a conversation with Brennan, and she let Brennan know that Carly was actually cheating on him. Brennan wasn't too happy to find that out. And then and then at the end on Friday, Brennan interrupts Carly by barging in her bedroom. She was, of course, with Valentine. Yes, she was with Valentine, and Valentine at that point in time on Friday had disappeared. Um, we don't know if he's still there or whatever, but anyway, he had just momentarily disappeared. And so that is how we were left on Friday. What are your thoughts about Carly, Valentine, and now Brennan?
Yeah, well, I mean, I should say, and something we've been mentioning for the past several weeks, is that, of course, General Hospital puts out their little previews of the week, if you will, as to what we should expect with a little, like 5 word or less theme. And so this one is like, what will Jack Brennan do? And of course, he didn't show up till Wednesday, um, but the whole sort of lead up of the week was all the last scenes of the week, which is an indication as to how the week went. But yeah, so Brennan doesn't believe Jocelyn, but Jocelyn brings up the point of like, are you saying that no part of your spy mind thinks anything's been suspicious going on? Um, so yeah, Brennan's upset, and he immediately thinks that the mystery man is potentially Sonny.
Yeah, I mean, out of all men, I understand why he could think of Sonny, because who else is does Carly know at the moment?
Yeah, I mean Jason's out of town, and even well, I will say, even though I think Brennan clearly shows that he thinks it's Sonny. I also think that he truly went to Sonny and just to figure out, okay, even if it's not you, you probably at least have some indication as to who this man is. And Sonny's like, I don't know, me and Carly don't really speak, anymore, but outside of Donna and yeah, and Avery, but it's like if she's cheating on you, that's great.
Yeah, yeah, they're a pair, meaning Brennan and Sonny. Anyway, so then we have Brick. Well, let me go back up a little bit. We have Jordan and Curtis. Curtis believes that Isaiah is the one who actually caused the accident with Jordan, and it really involves the paint on the car. There was apparently, I think on the guardrail, I said there was paint that was left over from the car that kind of grazed it, and so because of the color paint that it is, um, because of the color paint that it is, Curtis believes that is actually Isaiah. So he's going with that, and he is sure telling people that's who he thinks it. That's who he thinks it is. But in the meantime, there's an event going on at the Savoy. So Curtis leaves Jordan. Jordan is fine with this, and Brick shows up. And I will say that was a breath of fresh air to see Brick kind of come in and have a conversation with Jordan. All right, Brandon, your thoughts of Jordan and Brick together?
Oh well, we love Brick, and so I loved his sort of different stories, and he helped over. He can't say what he exactly he does, but he may or may not have helped overthrow the dictator. But the dictators, I think, one of the wise, what they say, has a machete, and so and so I love that Jordan's like, is this really true? And so I just love that we're able to see Brick for a little bit, sort of entertaining Jordan. And I would say, I think this has been the most entertaining part for Jordan. I mean, since her whole accident. So maybe this is all destiny for Jordan to end up with Brick.
Yeah, maybe it is. All right. And then we have Britt. Rocco is just so torn after shooting Cullum. And so he's just basically almost ready to tell everyone. And Britt actually stops him. And it was a very intense scene and more intense than we normally see on General Hospital. And I think it was Nathan who stopped. Was it Nathan who stopped him? I can't
It was
remember.
Elizabeth.
It was Elizabeth. I'm sorry. Elizabeth stopped him. And so that was interesting to watch. All right, Brandon, what did you think about that particular scene with Britt and Rocco?
Yeah, that's certainly quite fascinating. You can see sort of the terror in Rocco's face and Britt that she didn't really want to do this, and actually even Elizabeth's reaction to this I thought was interesting because yeah, I guess Elizabeth thought that Britt's sort of trying to teach Rocco a lesson, but when Britt sort of like, "Do you think I'd want to do this?" So we have Elizabeth sort of has her wheels turning. We see Rocco scared because he's a little confused. Like, I was only going to tell Colm that I shot him. I've never shot anyone before, and I wanted to see it. Britt's like, "Why aren't you getting it?"
Yeah. Yeah, that was very intense. All right, then we have some kind of minor things that are just kind of roaming around out there. We have Cody and Molly who are continuing to talk about their book at the Savoy. And then we also find out that Brendan and Sonny, during their conversation, that Brendan does let Sonny know that Jason's in Jakarta, wherever Jakarta is. And then we also have a big performance that was going to happen. Well, I thought it was going to happen on Friday, but apparently it's going to happen on Monday. Michael James Scott, he is back, and I'm really surprised that they pulled this off so quickly. But he is there to perform at the Savoy, and of course, we saw him last week. Brandon, what are your thoughts about the Savoy and everything that's going on there?
Well, I'm certainly excited to see Michael James Scott up there for the Savoy, as I'm surprised it's happening so quickly. As well, I figured that there'd be a few weeks, but on the other hand, I'm glad at least they're keeping it all within quick succession. So, sort of a double crossover. We got to see Gio and Emma go over to see Aladdin, and so now he's coming over to Port Charles.
Yes. All right, Brandon, what did I leave out?
Well, Mom, I don't know if we mentioned this yet, um, but you had just sort of brought it to my attention again that in terms of Nathan, he's acting well. Nathan,
Mhm.
Cassius is acting quite suspicious towards Lulu about needing to get rid of Rocco.
Yeah, he did have an interesting conversation about how he kind of needed to leave town. Now, I can't tell yet whether or not Nathan is really protecting him. I have a feeling he is, because otherwise he could have just had him, he could have taken him to the police later. But I think that he is trying to protect Rocco and to kind of move him out of the way because he knows what Cullum will do to him once Cullum finds out. But I even think Cullum's kind of a little suspicious about who actually shot him.
Yeah, I certainly think so too. And for the little bits and pieces that we do see of Cullum, that I mean, we sort of see that he's just so intrigued and trying to piece together the details. And I feel a lot of people right now have different pieces of the puzzle, but Jocelyn's probably the closest.
Yes, I think she is also. All right, Brandon. Did I leave out anything else?
Actually, I'm going to backtrack. Jocelyn is the closest in terms of being able to do something about it. But I will say Britt and Lucas are pretty close. Like, they have most of the pieces. It's just a matter of, since they're doing all of their undercover stuff, they're probably not going to hold on to the. They're just going to hold on to the information and doing anything. Jocelyn's at least putting into action.
Yeah, I think out of all of them, like you said, Jocelyn is the one who's going to actually be the detective to put it all together at the end. You're right, Lucas and Britt, they have pieces. They just don't know how to put the pieces together. They're trying, but they're kind of sloppy at it. But and Jocelyn's just very quickly just asking questions and doing what she can to kind of put it all together. And I think that's something that Nathan has figured out that Jocelyn's a bright girl. All right. So let's talk about our performer of the week. Brandon, I have four names this time. So I guess performers of the week. Jocelyn, for me, I think is doing an excellent job. It's been a while since she's been front and center, so I've really liked this, and so I think she's doing a really good job. Brennan, oh gosh, Brennan's face on Friday, that in itself should give you performer of the week. And then Britt and Rocco, when they had their intense scene, I think just as intense as it was, they did a good job acting. And so I want to give them credit for performers. All right, Brandon, what about you and performers of the week?
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, with what you're saying for the performers, and yeah, I mean, like to me, I really liked Rocco, especially during that that scene alongside Britt. I feel like both of those for that one performance, I think, uh, were a standout. And yeah, I mean, I'll agree with what you're saying.
All right. For amusing scenes of the week, James and Liesel. There was a scene in which James talked about his karate lessons and how he really enjoyed them. And so I really liked that scene between James and Liesel. And then Jordan and Brick, because it was so unexpected that I really enjoyed them. So they were my amusing scenes of the week. All right, Brandon, what about you?
Oh yes, I mean Brick and James in their respective scenes, I thought were sort of showstoppers in that regard. Again, I love Brick's story because Jordan Jordan is so amused and she's intrigued, but also I don't know how much she really believes, and Brick doesn't even know how much he believes of the story. Might be true, might not be.
Yeah. All right, and then Brandon, I'm adding in something for you. I added in intense scene because General Hospital doesn't have a lot of intense scenes, but when they do have them, they're really intense. And so for me, my intense scenes of the week were Britt and Rocco that we've talked about previously, and then Brennan and Carly on Friday. All right, Brand, did you have any intense emotional scenes?
I'll agree with those.
All right. And then as for touching scene of the week, for me actually it was Portia because she was concerned about Jordan. And I like the way she portrayed it. I think it was honest. She's not saying she likes Jordan. She just said that she was just very concerned about Jordan. And so I really like the way they kind of presented that. All right, Brandon, did you have a touching scene of the week?
Yeah, I mean, I like being able to see. I mean, again, going back to that same scene with yeah, with well, the aftermath of Britt and Elizabeth doing their brief chat about sort of how she had to sort of get Rocco away from her. I certainly thought that was a touching scene, and and then even in a sense, um, I'm thinking about when Nathan, in quotes, was sort of trying to speak to James and Sidwell, sort of trying to keep James and Sidwell away from each other, but trying to keep that balance in there because you could see that he was sort of going into overprotective dad mode while also trying to appease Sidwell and not sort of raise any red flags.
Yeah. Yep, understood. That is very true. And then where are they? I'm not quite sure if I had any where are they's this week. Did you have any, Brand?
Not to my knowledge, other than that we're getting a lot of TJ mentions, which makes me wonder if TJ will reappear at some point. I don't think he'll be per se right now, but maybe a little bit later, like after Jordan's recovered, like maybe she'll finally be out able to leave the hospital and move in with Curtis, and then TJ, whether the old TJ and new TJ are like, hey, you're not moving in with Curtis, you're gonna come with me.
Yeah. Oh, and that brings up another scene that I didn't think about. But it was a one-liner. Molly made a comment, and she said that when she and TJ were together, she really liked Jordan, and so I thought that was a very nice comment that was made. And but you're right, we are getting a lot of TJ mentions. TJ's been gone for over a year, and so it was interesting that we're starting to get those mentions again. All right. I do have welcome backs. Welcome back to Michael James Scott. Didn't know he was gone, but apparently he was, and so he is back again. And then welcome back, Brick. Do you have any welcome backs?
I don't think so.
All righty. And then what I'm looking forward to for this week, I am looking forward to seeing the blowout between Carly and Brennan. Spoiler alert: it's Monday. We've seen it, and we'll talk about that next week. And then I'm also looking forward to seeing Jocelyn and Fake Nathan slash Cassius, and to see how they kind of end up. All right, Brandon, do you have any looking forward tos for this week?
Oh yes, I mean definitely all of that. Sort of seeing the fallout of that, the stuff that was teased in this week that we're speaking about now. The what will Jack Brennan do? For the whole the final scene of the week that we're discussing. Which, again, I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, I think for this current week we're in, being able to see sort of the fallout of that. where all the pieces sort of tied together. And we're getting again some more Anna mentions to some hoping that she will be returning within the near future.
Yeah, and we're also getting Jason missions. I know they keep talking about him, and we do know that Steve Burton said that he'd be back sometime in June. So we are get his name is being dropped on a regular basis now, and now we know where he is in Jakarta, and so it'll be interesting to see where he will actually really end up being and how he comes back. All right, Brandon. Let's see. We thank everybody for watching today.
And we look forward to seeing you next time.
All right, have a great day, everybody.